What's going on? Welcome to All Elite Weekly. My name is Matt, and this is going to be the first edition of what's going to be a weekly podcast talking about the brand new wrestling promotion, All Elite Wrestling, ran by Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks. If you're clicking on this, you probably already know that. Let's get a quick basics going, though, before we jump into things. Myself, my name is Matt Cruz, like as I said. I have in the past been a competitor on Collider's Movie Trivia Schmodown. I've had a co-hosted a podcast with Bunny Ears' Matt Cohen on the Smodcast Network, and I have been a lifelong wrestling fan, just like many of you. If you're clicking on this, I imagine I did stray away from wrestling in my teen years, just like a lot of fellow wrestling fans. And in the past year and some change, my love for wrestling has reignited and kind of hit hardcore, you can say, and really sparked a passion. As I sit and record, this is January 10th, 2019. We are 2 days past the Double or Nothing press rally. I got that playing here silently, just to kind of remind me of some beats that happened. Background of All Elite Wrestling, like I said, you already know, ran by Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks. Cody Rhodes, son of Dusty Rhodes. The Young Bucks brothers, one of the best tag teams in the world, one of the best independent tag teams in the world. They now have announced they are a brand new wrestling promotion, All Elite Wrestling. Going forward in 2019, I'm pumped, man. As a wrestling fan who's really fallen back in love with wrestling in the past year, WWE has been cool, but it feels like it's missing something. I sat through countless Raws and SmackDowns where at the end you just kind of felt gypped. And after I found the Elite in last year's All In event in Chicago, I really thought I found something different. As far as wrestling goes, I thought it was cool the way they engaged their fans with the web series all being the Elite, and just an alternative, man. That event was so cool. I know there was a lot of people contributing to that. You had Ring of Honor, you had New Japan, but I just really thought that was a great event, and I'm excited to see where they go in the future. So let's get into it. Let's start talking about a little bit of a timeline here for what's so far this episode, this inaugural episode. I kind of wanted to just give a basic background of the company, and just talk about recently what's been going on. Let's go over the timeline of the startup of this company and just kind of lay a foundation and going forward. I don't really know how much news we're going to be getting on a weekly basis. We're only 1 week out. We've already got a good chunk of things. But my idea for this is really just to have an avenue to talk about things as we go forward. Whether it be weekly, I'm sure we'll be talking. Like I said, we'll be talking about news. If we get a weekly show, which it sounds like we're going to be getting a weekly show eventually, we'll be recapping the show. I'd like to talk about my thoughts on it. Predictions going forward. Until then, it's gonna be a little loosey goosey, man. Until we start to get inch forward to May 25th. I honestly will tell you this: I am not familiar with a huge chunk of the wrestling catalog of the people who are signed so far. I haven't seen a lot of their matches. I'm not like the world's biggest Elite fan. Like, I don't have any Elite merchandise. Not that I'm against it or anything. I just don't have it. I haven't seen all their New Japan runs. I haven't seen Cody's WWE run. When Cody was in WWE, I was into rap. I was chasing a fledgling rap career. So let's for this one, let's jump into a timeline really quick. What's been going on with All Elite Wrestling? Like I said, right now as I sit here and do this, is January 10th on New Year's Eve. The addition of the Elite's web series being the Elite on their YouTube channel. The countdown that have been going off on their phones, which is a storyline that you can find there if you're interested in. Anyways, there have been timers going off on their phone. There was a surprise that was going to be revealed in front of the Tokyo Dome. They revealed the logos to All Elite Wrestling and the logos to Double or Nothing, the follow-up to last year's All In event. Obviously, the internet goes crazy. Everyone's very excited. There's a lot of questions to be answered, and very shortly after, they start to answer some of those questions. So some of the things that start to leak out the next day are some of the basics, such as the power, or not the power, just the hierarchy over there at who's running All Elite Wrestling. And let's just start from the top. What we start to learn is, first of all, Tony Khan is going to be serving as CEO and president. His father, Shahid Khan, apparently is the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, as well as a soccer premier club, or a soccer club in London, and he was instrumental in the update of the bumper on a car. Who knew? The replacement of the metal bumpers, and that's really where they made their money, I guess. But Tony Khan has been a lifelong wrestling fan, and this is finally him jumping into the wrestling game. I heard. Sorry, I have my notes out here like a homeless manifesto. I heard him on Sean Walton's podcast, and he sounds like the real deal, man. So they've got the top positions over there. Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, turn out to be executive vice presidents. What that really entails, who knows? But I think going forward, we all trust their vision, and anyone who's excited for All Elite Wrestling knows what we're going to be getting from them as far as their work ethic, and just a different viewpoint on wrestling, man. Cody said it many times that there's enough space for different kinds of wrestling, for just different fans. We all have different flavors, man. So after the New Year's Eve edition of All Elite, we had Wrestle Kingdom 13 at the Tokyo Dome. And most of the elite was booked. You had Marty Scurll, Hangman Page, Cody, and Kenny Omega as well as Matt and Nick. Starting from the bottom, it was a clean sweep of the elite. Hangman and Marty Scurll both lost their match. All this is covered, by the way, on the following episode of Being the Elite, which is the New Year's Day edition, and I loved the episode, man. I think it was called Marty's Unconventional New Year's Day Party, and it just featured Marty Scurll at a table drinking mojitos. One of my favorite parts of the whole episode was him just yelling out like mojito, whoo! This tough fucking guy just sitting there drinking mojitos by himself. Anyways, he's sitting there as if he doesn't know where Matt and the Bucks are. They're off doing their All Elite thing. But we did get to some updates on the company itself after the skits. In the actual episode, we see Brandy sign her contract for All Elite. We see Cody sign his contract. We see Hangman sign his contract, and we see Matt and Nick Jackson both sign their contracts, all on camera. Whether it was just for the show, who knows? But it was really cool to see at least them taking a moment to acknowledge, hey, it's official. Just so you know, it's official. At that point, that was what we knew. We cut back to Marty Scurll breaking the fingers on their puppet. I need to learn more about who this puppet is, but I dig Marty Scurll fighting with this puppet, man. What else I learned from that episode? The Bucks got kids, man. They showed some footage of the Bucks in Japan with their family. The Bucks have kids. The Bucks have a lot of kids. So let's do one quick plug really quick. ProWrestlingTees.com/AEW. Go buy a shirt. Bucks got kids. All right, moving forward. After that episode of Being the Elite, that answered some questions for us. We started to get some more news in the rest of the week of the first week of 2019. And so we did find out, as well as the Elite crew, Britt Baker signed to be the first non-elite member of All Elite Wrestling. I, for one, don't know Britt Baker. Like I said, I have a big blind spot when it comes to wrestling in the past few years. So she has flown under my radar. The first time that I saw Britt Baker was at last year's All-In event in the Fatal 4-Way, and she tore it down, her and Madison Rayne. I thought the whole match was great, and I'm excited to see what she does going forward. But she was revealed to be the first signee of a non-elite member. So, like I said, the logos were revealed, and there was going to be a Double or Nothing rally announced on January 8th at TIA Field, which is where I guess the Jacksonville Jaguars play in Florida. Turned out to be within walking distance to SmackDown Live. I don't know how the news was originally received, but it got interesting. So let's cut to the rally. January 8th, 17,000 in attendance. There's over 100 people streaming it. 100K streaming it online. They streamed it different things, through different avenues, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you saw it. I've actually got it pulled up right now in the background on my phone, so I can kind of keep pace as we go here. All right, so we're at the rally here. I got it pulled up. We're streaming a little bit. The rally MCs for the night were Conrad Thompson, who I hadn't known heretofore, but I did a little digging here on Conrad Thompson. I didn't know how big of a name he was. I guess he produces podcasts for Bruce Pritchard, Eric Bischoff, Tony Schiavone, and he actually ran last year's Starcast, which was a 4-day wrestling podcast event at All In. Cody Rhodes called it the Woodstock for wrestling. So I didn't know this guy heretofore, but he's been out there doing the work, man. So mucho respectado to Conrad Thompson. Also, they have Alex Marvez, and that name I've heard, but just like with the Cons, that's football. That's football name. I guess he's been a beat writer for the NFL for more than 20 years, man. And he's really respected down there, especially in Florida. And I guess he's a friend of Tony Khan. So they were the MCs. Let's just start to get beat by beat here through the rally and what happened. First off, we had SoCal Uncensored, Frankie Kazarian, Scorpio Sky, and Christopher Daniels come out. We've all seen them on Being the Elite, and we've seen them in Ring of Honor. And I think going forward, we assume that they would be signing to All Elite Wrestling, especially with at Ring of Honor's final battle, Christopher Daniels' last match, or supposed last match in Ring of Honor. I think left a lot of us assuming that he would be heading to, as well as the rest of SCU, heading to greener pastures, those being All Elite Wrestling. So SoCal comes out, they announce it. I hadn't known much about SoCal Uncensored until recently. I also saw Frankie Kazarian and Scorpio Sky in that crazy ladder war at Final Battle, and I became fans of them. Christopher Daniels, like I said earlier, his match with Stephen Amell at All In last year, I thought was great. There was a couple hamming it up moments where he jumps onto the table by himself or things like that, but I loved it. And since I've started to go back into the well and look into Christopher Daniels matches, so SCU I think is a great pickup. Next. They also, I guess while they're up there, they also plugged their Jaguars themed SCU shirt. Look, man, you got to get things rolling. You got to start making some money. They're putting some money into it, and I think the fans are already showing their response by supporting the merch. I dig it. After that, Cody came back out and he spoke on in other comparable forms of entertainment and sports, athletes and performers are making much more. He's claiming he wants to change that. He says that it's not going to be the case here at All Elite Wrestling. Also, he announces that women are going to be receiving the same pay as men. It's going to be the same basic rate pay, or the same basic base rate pay for men and women across the board. I think that's great, man. I think we're way too late on this. Cody states that unlike other places, fans for the AEW are not going to be coached on who to root for, who to cheer for. Basically, they're saying they're not going to be shoving things down our throat. I think we can all attest to going through some of that as WWE fans, and having somebody, or having the top guy thrust into the top spot, and we don't want to accept him as the face of the company. Basically saying they're going to listen. I dig this as well. Also, something that kind of got looked over, I felt like, was no one was really talking about, was the importance of wins and losses going forward in All Elite Wrestling. Tony Khan also talked about this on Sean Waltman's podcast that I just heard recently today. He talked about how wins and losses should be important again in the business. He talked about how it should be what determines someone getting towards a title run or title shot. And I dig that. I like that a lot going forward. That's pretty much all Cody had to talk about at that moment. Then he brought up the Young Bucks, and this was something that was interesting to me. The Young Bucks announced their agreement. That's how they phrased it. The term was agreement with a company called Oriental Wrestling Entertainment. Okay, if you don't know that name, don't blame yourself. I had no clue who this was. I think a lot of wrestling fans kind of shrugged and kind of scratched their head for a second. Maybe some of the hardcore ones, if you're listening to this, you're like, oh, I knew Ori until Wrestling Entertainment. Good for you, man. But I've looked up some of these videos, and a lot of them are in Chinese. I'm not educated enough to know if they're in Cantonese or Mandarin, but I know that I don't speak it, whatever they're speaking, so I'm having a hard time trying to delve into this. But I'm gonna learn more about OWE as we get closer here. I think it's very cool. I think that at least that's a chance for fresh faces. I know that a lot of us wrestling fans, like I said, haven't heard of this, and I think it's a great opportunity to break a mold. I know New Japan, working with Ring of Honor and starting to broaden their horizons here in America, it was leaving a lot of us questioning whether or not they're going to be working with All Elite as well. I think the sweep that I spoke about at Wrestle Kingdom 13 of the Elite, and this announcement of this agreement with, or this arrangement with OWE, is leaning towards us not getting a New Japan wrestlers crossovering over as much as we had hoped or thought. But it's a brand new opportunity for fresh faces, something new. I'm with it. Along with that, they announced officially May 25th, MGM Grand, Las Vegas, Nevada. Currently, the only thing that I'm looking forward to, Double or Nothing. I think this is a great location. I think the date is perfect. A lot of people are going to be able to get there. What an announcement. Double or Nothing in Las Vegas. The whole theme, you couldn't have tied it together more perfectly. And we'll get more into Double or Nothing as we get closer. So after the Bucks announce Double or Nothing, they bring Brandy back out. Brandy confirms the women's division. No big news there. We all assumed there'd be a women's division. She does crack the joke about being Chief Brandy Officer and needing a Chief Brandy Officer shirt. As I looked online to record this podcast this morning, there's a Chief Brandy Officer shirt. So boom, that's proof, kids. Speak it into the universe. And make sure you have a connection over at ProWrestlingTees.com. But I think that's really cool. She then brings up Britt Baker. Like I said, don't know much about Britt Baker, but I think I've seen her a couple times. I think she's great. She announces her signing to All Elite Wrestling, even though we received this piece of news earlier in the week. It was just kind of cool to have her out there in person saying, I'm on board. This is me. Conrad comes back up to kind of move things along, and I think we get our first surprise appearance in the form of MJF. If you don't know MJF, MJF is Maxwell Jacob Friedman, and I discovered him just like a lot of wrestling fans for the first time at All In this past year. He comes out, he crashes it. He does. I mean, you got to get over somehow, but I felt this was a little rough. He puts his gum on Conrad Thompson's forehead. Good on Conrad for being a good sport. That was a little rough, but hey, guess what? If you were watching that and that was your first time seeing MJF, I don't think you're going to forget it. At All In, MJF did fight Matt Cross. And since then, where I know MJF from is he was also a guest on the Steve Austin show over on Podcast One. This cat is young, man. This cat is, I think he's, since All In, I saw a good heel run in his future. I think this cat's a great pickup. I think that he's got a long run ahead of him, and I think that he's a big character that you need to start a promotion like this and to start a rivalry. And speaking of rivalries, as he's finishing up on stage, as MJF is concluding his trash talk of Jacksonville, he is confronted by Jackson, who is the Jacksonville Jaguars mascot, and from behind he's smacked with a crutch, and the camera pulls out to reveal none other than Joey Janela and Penelope Ford. Joey Janela, I first saw Joey Janela as well, and Penelope Ford, another two cats who I just saw for the first time at All In. I remember his Chicago street fight with Hangman Page was fucking dope, man. I thought that match was phenomenal. I thought it was great. I thought they both put on a hell of a show. That was my first time seeing Penelope Ford. And I was very taken with Penelope Ford off the bat. I fell in love with Penelope Ford. I'll be honest with you, man. Not only was she gorgeous, but then she went out there and threw down for her man, dude. She fucking took some bumps. She was not taking any shit from Hangman, and I thought she was a huge component to that match being as good as it was, and being one of the standouts that it was on that card. I think they're both great. I think Joey Janela right now is becoming, from what I hear, from what I see at least, and from what I feel, Joey Janela is becoming one of the biggest independent names in the country. But to be honest with you, I think Penelope Ford is the pickup here. I think Penelope Ford is going to be the one who's going to pay off in dividends, man. I think that she's going to be a great addition to this women's division, and I think she may be one of the pieces of news that's being overlooked the most so far, coming out of the rally, is Penelope Ford being involved as well with All Elite. After we have that announcement, we have one of the people who we've been waiting for all night. Hangman Page finally comes out. Hangman Page is somebody who, again, another person who I didn't know prior to All In. He's a member of the Elite, and I thought his street fight was fucking great. Cody Rhodes, I know I've heard him refer to him as the future of wrestling. I think this cat's the truth, man. I think he's athletic. I think he's not bad at promos. He's gonna get better. I think just the swagger. I think he's really coming into his own. I'm excited to see what Page does. He kind of comes out, does a little crowd service, but he announces that he's gonna be the first ever All Elite Wrestling Champion. He vows this to us fans. Pretty cool to have that statement made right there. Even cooler to have that contested right away by somebody who is, I would say, more respected worldwide, and who can really put on a match. At this moment, more music comes on. Enter Pac. Pac is somebody that I've been unfamiliar with. Pac used to wrestle in WWE under the name of Neville, and just like a lot of the cats in the past few years, he's really had a whole entire career that I've kind of missed. I was out of the wrestling viewing game in the years that Neville was really doing his thing, but he's incredibly well respected. Every time I hear his name brought up, and when we were talking about rumors going into the rally and who's going to be announced, and who might be a surprise, Pac was definitely one of the people who people were hoping for. I've never seen him wrestle once, never once. But this cat, I mean, he's getting people to react to him. I really dig it. He came out holding his Dragon Gate, championship, his Open World Championship, which apparently Dragon Gate is a Japanese promotion. I've heard the name, but I've never seen anything as well. But if Pac is still signed to Dragon Gate, then that's promising, I think, for open relations, I think, with other promotions going forward. The OWE agreement, like I said, is an interesting indication of relationships that they want to build. But regardless, Pac comes out, he gets in Hangman's face, and he kind of challenges Hangman, but he's more just talking shit. He's more kind of just stunting on him, and then he awkwardly leaves. I think he dropped the mic throughout this. Whoever the audio person was must have been furious, because there was at least 5 or 6 mic drops throughout this rally. It's necessary. You want to make the statement. So he kind of challenges Page, then leaves. At that point, Page responds and he goes, "Well, if that was a challenge, then I guess I accept." Could have been done a little better. There was a second of heat there, but that match people are really talking about and anticipating. On Sean Wallen's podcast, they were talking about this match being one of the ones that they're really looking forward to. And I'm for it. Whoever, I think any opportunity to help get Page over is good. And I think that this name, this big of a name, being placed as a rival and a potential, big foe for Page is great. I think that that's a great idea for him, and I think for the promotion starting out as well. After this, Cody Rhodes and the Bucks come back out. They announced a second event, actually, that's going to be held right there for the people in Jacksonville. Luckily, because at one point earlier when they announced the Vegas event, Double or Nothing, May 25th in Las Vegas, Nevada, Cody kind of makes a question or a call to action where he's like, "Will you follow us to Vegas?" Which is awesome. I think is really cool. It's kind of like a rallying cry, like let's do it. But at the same time, if I were there, I'd be like, "No, I can't. I'm broke." So the announcement of the second event being right there in Jacksonville, I think was necessary and really, really cool for everybody who made the time or took the time out to make it there. He also stated that a huge chunk of the profits, I'm paraphrasing, but a chunk of the profits are going to be going to victims of gun violence. And I love that. Without getting too political, I feel like wrestling is one of the few entertainment places where we can kind of go that's like a common ground. But regardless of what you think on gun control or gun violence, compassion, I think compassion is necessary. Compassion is cool. I fuck with it. I think it's a good move. Moving on after that, Conrad and Alex come back out, and they tease the rally being over. And I think everyone was still anticipating something else. The music hits, and out comes motherfucking Chris Jericho, Y2J, the Ayatollah of rock and rolla himself. Chris Jericho comes out. And one thing I've always loved about Jericho, going all the way back to his Raw debut, man, when The Rock was cutting a promo, and he comes out there, Chris Jericho knows how to make a surprise entrance. Whether it's WWE, whether it was, it's indie, it's New Japan, at All In, his surprise where he, at the end of the match, he switched places with Pentagon Jr. to attack Kenny Omega. I thought that was fucking phenomenal. And if you're, for me as a wrestling fan, moments like that are, what I live for. So another great moment, boom. Jericho gets to drop that right there. A huge reveal for Chris Jericho. Another one to add to his resume of that. He takes the stage in his speech. A couple lines that are said. One of them being, "I am Chris Jericho, and I'm all in with All Elite Wrestling." I mean, that says it all right there. I mean, he's 100% in. Chris Jericho is, I think, the name that's garnered the most attention for this promotion so far. Well deserved, man. Well deserved. He's a legend, obviously, going back to ECW, WCW, everything before that. I think Jericho taking this light at this moment was exactly what it needed, man. It needed somebody big to come in and to lend some credibility and to garner some eyes of people who have been watching for 20 plus years, rather than just cats who are fans of the Bucks. I mean, a couple more things he says. He says, "I'm not in it for the money. I have the money." He says he's been labeled as a pariah and as an outlaw. He basically is out there saying, "I don't give a fuck." I mean, within walking distance to SmackDown Live, this isn't a middle finger. I mean, it's at least a tongue out. It's at least a little bit of like, "Hey, I see you there. I still don't give a fuck." It's like lighting a cigarette within. It's in Vince McMahon's, his living room or his foyer. He's not in his bedroom, but he's right there. He's right on the outskirts, man. That definitely didn't go unnoticed. But Chris Jericho also confirms he's going to be at Double or Nothing in May 25th in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I think that's great. What a statement. What a way to end. And what a start for the promotion, man. What a bang. I know people were hoping for Goldberg. People were maybe hoping for a Kenny Omega announcement, which would have been not in the best taste. But I think that this was overall a success. I think it got a lot of eyes on it, and I think the Jericho announcement really put things over and really got this on a lot of people's pages, and a lot of people's eyes are going to be now watching to see what happens going forward with All Elite Wrestling. I don't recall if it was during the rally or after the rally. We got a couple more pieces of news on All Elite's Twitter page. They actually, which is I think All Elite Wrestling or AEW, I'm not quite sure. They posted a video of Cody Rhodes and Billy Gunn shaking hands backstage and basically making a verbal agreement, confirming that Billy Gunn is, as of now, the first and only producer of All Elite Wrestling. I love it. First of all, let me talk about how it was done. I think that it being done in a behind the scenes way was, I thought it was kind of cool, man. I think Billy Gunn's involvement doesn't need to be having him on screen or having him be a face that lends the credibility. I think Jericho and people like that are enough. I think it's very cool and promising to have people like Billy Gunn and have people of Billy Gunn's caliber and experience supporting and kind of lending a backbone to something and not feeling like they need to be out there in the spotlight. Billy Gunn is the first producer, I think, is a really promising sign. I've loved Billy Gunn all the way back. I mean, going back to his 93 run as the Smoking Guns. I mean, I was only one, but thanks to the internet, we can go back and watch people's full runs. But Billy Gunn's been a great wrestler going all the way back, like I said, to 93, and his run with Bart Gunn as the Smoking Guns. Him fighting against Baby Rikishi, Fatu, and Samu. And I think that Billy Gunn has a good head for the business. I know that a lot of people have said that he's a character, and I definitely see that. But I mean, what he did with as the New Age Outlaws with Road Dogg, and what he's done multiple times in the business, reinventing himself, it can't be ignored. And I think someone like that can only bring a great mentality and some great angles, some great angles to whatever we end up getting as a product. So I think that's another great move. I think picking up Billy Gunn is a huge plus to All Elite Wrestling. Some more news that broke later in the evening. I'd say this would be the fallout. All of this technically would fall under fallout. We got some more tidbits later in the evening regarding the rally. People leaving the rally, walking over to SmackDown Live with All Elite Wrestling shirts, were not greeted so kindly at SmackDown Live. The rumors that are circulating online are that anyone was not wearing an All Elite Wrestling shirt was not allowed to wear it inside of SmackDown Live. Understandable, man. I get it. You want to play hardball? You want to fucking... you want to show off down the street? Well, you're not going to show off in here, bro. A lot of people were complaining and felt like it was not cool of WWE to do this, but that's business, man. What do you can't allow that. Whether or not people are actually, or Vince McMahon's actually concerned or viewing All Elite as a real threat. That's just business 101, man. You don't let somebody come on there and promote their shit for free. Nobody else is gonna eat off of that bill. You know what I mean? I dug it. I thought it was a gangster move, and I'm excited for competition. It's almost like beef. I've always equated wrestling to rap, unfortunately, because I don't think a lot of people view rap as like an art form. It's very much like the pageantry, the swagger, like the attitude, and I've always kind of felt like rap and hip hop beefs can be very similar to wrestling rivalries as far as actual business practices go. And I think this is another move that's similar to that. Not only was that taking place at SmackDown Live, hours before the broadcast went on, the opening crawl was changed. And the moment in the SmackDown Live intro where Chris Jericho's photo is shown was actually changed to Cesaro. So within hours, that slight by Jericho didn't go unnoticed. It was a quick reaction of let's clean the slate here. Let's not remind people that Chris Jericho's not going to be back in WWE. I like that as well. I dig it. I think it's kind of cool. I think, and it starts to differentiate as well. It starts to help people kind of draw the line in the sand of where things are and who's where. Chris Jericho is not going to be in the WWE anytime going forward, and I just because he's down the street from Jacksonville or in Jacksonville down the street from SmackDown Live doesn't mean he's going to be at SmackDown Live, and people need to start to get used to thinking of Chris Jericho as an All Elite wrestler rather than a WWE wrestler. And I think that's something we're going to have to get used to, and I'm fine with that. So that was the day of the 8th. That was the day of the rally. That was all that we got. That was all the chisme. That was all the tea, as the kids would say. And since then, we've got a couple pieces of not news. Like I said, Tony Khan was on Sean Walton's podcast, X-Pac 12360. I believe. And he was talking a little bit about the wins and losses as well. Alex Marquez was on a couple podcasts as well, hinting at things. What everyone wants to know right now, I think the biggest question surrounding it still is TV presence or TV deals. Tony Khan, in no uncertain terms, basically said that there's interest. He couldn't be goaded into, even though no matter how big of a fan he was of X-Pac, and that was really cool to see as well, how big of a fan and how much respect Tony Khan has for wrestlers and the wrestling business in general. But on that podcast, he did say that there are many interested parties. As we know, Tuesday Night Dynamite's already been trademarked. So whether we're gonna get an announcement on that soon or whether we're gonna have to be waiting until May 25th. He also did use the word weekly. He said he wants, weekly. I don't remember exactly. Oh shit! I wish I remember exactly what he said. But he said that he wants things to matter weekly. He wants viewers weekly to be engaged on what's happening on the show or on the product. So I think that's promising. I think that's a big leading hint as to where we're going to be going. I think we are going to be getting Tuesday Night Dynamite eventually. I think we may have to wait till after Double or Nothing, but I think it's going to happen, and I'm very, very excited about that. A couple other questions that we had going forward. Marty Scurll. What's going to happen to Marty Scurll? I think Marty Scurll is under contract still with Ring of Honor until April. But after that, I can't imagine Marty Scurll not jumping over. And what a great appearance that's going to be for, I imagine, their second event for the villain Marty Scurll to show up in All Elite Wrestling, because he's gonna miss Double or Nothing, unfortunately, unless they work out a deal with Ring of Honor for that event as well, which I just don't see happening right now. I think Marty Scurll's gonna miss Double or Nothing, which would make his appearance in All Elite even cooler. Somebody who I do think we'll see it at Double or Nothing is probably the biggest question mark we have going forward as far as talents wise. Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega lost the IWGP belt at Wrestle Kingdom, and I think that's a big indication. And a couple days later, it leaked that he is leaving for sure. He's leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling, and his contract's up at the end of this month, January 31st. Would people have loved to hear Kenny Omega is coming at their rally? Yes. Would that have been very, very, very bad business? And you know what? Maybe even led to some litigious situations. Definitely. Fuck yes. I know the rumors are Kenny's gotten a sizable offer from WWE, and I'm interested to see what happens. But the cleaner Kenny Omega leads a lot of questions. I think that his presence in AEW would be huge. I think it's the perfect time for him to make a huge American impact. And now we just got to wait a couple weeks to find out. But I think that it would be the biggest question mark right now. But as of right now, that's where we're at, man. It's January 10th, and we're 9 days past the announcement of All Elite Wrestling. It's been an exciting 9 days. There hasn't been a floodgate of information, but everything that we've gotten has been good, and everything that's come out has been promising so far, and seems like it's heading in the right direction. As a wrestling fan, I kind of felt it like as an obligation to do this. I'm not happy with the product in WWE right now, like I think a lot of people are. I think a lot of people are disenfranchised, and someone's offering an alternative. And I don't know 100% of the direction of that alternative, but I have to give it a chance. And on a sub note as well, or on a side note, the day of the press conference, I was just online surfing, and I was like, I wonder if anyone's talked about this enough, because I couldn't get enough of the news about All Elite Wrestling. I just wanted someone to be talking about it at length, and to just to kind of delve into it, just to get into the meat of all that we had. And there's podcasts are talking about it here and there, but there hadn't been an All Elite Weekly taken yet. No one had started an All Elite Weekly, so I kind of felt it as not an obligation, as a, it's a responsibility that I'm gonna take upon myself to cover this weekly. So I don't know what the direction's gonna be right now until we start to get some matches and some events going on. I know that at the moment, thanks to Pro Fight MDB. If you've never heard of Pro Fight MDB, I would recommend checking it out. It is one of my new best friends. It's basically just what it sounds like. It's a database for wrestlers, and I think fighters as well, for all their matches. And I'm going back. What I'm doing right now is I'm going back 98. Christopher Daniels, The Fallen Angel. I'm going and watching pretty much all the footage that I can, all the matches that I can of everybody on the roster, just to kind of get more acquainted with the talent and what they're going to bring. So I think next week I'll be back here. We'll be talking about news, whatever news we get. Hopefully we'll get another episode of Being the Elite. Hopefully we'll have a couple more tidbits. Who knows? Maybe we'll even have a Goldberg announcement. Tony Khan was very hesitant to confirm or deny any Goldberg involvement. He talked a lot about what he thought of the guy, but he wouldn't say yay or nay. He's with us, he's not with us. He said he would love it, but he just hasn't confirmed it. So for this first inaugural edition, man, I think that's probably going to do it. I'll be back next week. What I'll probably do is I'll probably have, in lieu of a recap, until we start to get recaps for Tuesday Night Dynamite or Double or Nothing or whatever it may be, I'll probably bring a couple matches for you, and a couple matches of people who have already signed to the roster. Maybe I'll bring a Christopher Daniels match, and we'll talk through that a little bit, and we'll do some commentary, and we'll kind of just start to imagine like what the divisions could be and who's going to bring what to the table. But as of now, man, that's going to be me signing off for the first edition of All Elite Weekly. It was a clusterfuck, man. There was a lot to kind of get out there and kind of catch up on. But now, guess what? We're acquainted. We've set the groundwork. We know where we are. We kind of know what we're going to be doing going forward. Go check out Being the Elite. Go buy a shirt, because like I said, Bucks got kids, man. My name is Matt Cruz. You can find me on Instagram at Matt Cruz Sucks. Make sure if you like this, you're going to subscribe. Or if you're interested in getting weekly updates, I would hope you subscribe. You can check us out, or you can check me out. I'm going to be on YouTube, SoundCloud, Instagram at All Elite Weekly until I get a cease or desist. Thanks for listening. My name is Matt Cruz. Go be elite.